remember in Southern Miss on the wall in study hall, it says, your talent is what got you here, but your character determines how long you stay. So I always preach to young athletes, hey, your character, man, make sure you work on your character and be a great young man that believe in God, believe in yourself, and, you take care of yourself. And once your cup runneth over, then you can start pouring out and helping others. But you shouldn't pour out the same cup that's being filled, which is you, because you taken away from what's being filled, which is your temple. You know what I mean? Which is you. You as an entity. You have to treat yourself like a business. You have to make the money, make sure you have the necessities, and then get what you want. And then if something extra comes in, and then somebody come and asks for something, then you have it to give or to help or to provide. You know what I mean? Instead of taking out of what's yours and when you need something. So, uh, in other words, don't put anybody else before you put before yourself or your family. Always put you and your family first.
Shawn, I love that take. I think so much it's just like an airplane. You got to put your oxygen mask on
Yeah,
first before
yeah,
you can help anyone else.
that's right. That's right.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with Shawn, the Postman Nelson. How you doing today, man?
Doing good in yourself, Jeremy. How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, I can't complain. I thank you for taking the time to talk with me today, man.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor.
So I always like to kick off the show and talk about networking. And one of the cool things about technology, even though it gives us trouble sometimes when we're trying to log in and use the computer, is social media, man. I found you through social media, man. Whose podcast were you on? Not too long. I think maybe the Super Bowl time.
That's crazy that you asked that, man, because it was Amon Green's podcast, and he was just on the stage at the opening of the 2025 NFL draft on yesterday. So it's crazy that you asked that, man, because I just saw him on stage. Didn't know he was going to be there, but it's always great to see people like him on the stage, get that opportunity to introduce to kick off the NFL draft. Somebody that put the time in as an NFL player, and that was a great player. He pours back into the community. He also reaches out to former NFL players like myself about getting into podcasts. So he has a great organization he has over there, and it's running real smooth and everything. So thank God for him for being able to have me on that platform. So you you and I could meet, man. So that's how that happened. So it's all good.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. So I help him on Green with some of his clips on the Gamers Lounge, and that's how him and I know each other. And
Yeah.
crazy enough, I've worked at the College Football Hall of Fame, I've worked at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but he was a cold
Nice.
reach out on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's nice, man. How long you been doing that for?
so I've been doing about 3 4 years there with AG, and from there, before that, I was producing podcasts for a bunch of different clients, and ended up launching my own.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Sweet deal. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. And you know what? It's one of those things like networking, you never really know. And I think so much of it is that mutualism and how you can provide value, whether it's financial value as far as, donating to fundraisers or scholarships or foundations, or it's, for example, with Aman, I couldn't offer him any kind of financial incentive at the time. It was more, hey, here's what I can do. Here's a service I can help you with and help each other grow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm sure that worked out for the both of you guys, but um, you know, I too myself is starting to get into podcasts, and we just finished getting everything together. Matter of fact, we have our first interviewee on Tuesday evening, so I'm really excited about that, man. I think it's a great way to provide a platform for um, those with intelligent backgrounds and monumental stories to be able to come on and share that with everybody across the world. So I think that's good what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it, man. I'm excited to check out yours as well. It's so cool because I think now as fans you can connect with athletes more and you can see a different side of them. I think so much for so long in sports it was that one side. You saw them on Sundays, you saw them on Saturdays, and you didn't really get to learn about more who they are.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And I think, and again, you know, someone like yourself having a platform like this and connecting with active and former players, whether it's musicians or actors or athletes, whatever it is, it opens up a channel, um, on a TV network or whatever we call it in the entertainment world, where we have fans in certain places that never had the opportunity to even hear a story like the stories that are being spoken about on platforms like you have and everything. So just imagine what it's doing for somebody like that to be able to get have that reach to be able to get that story and won't have to pay $500-700 for a flight, then another 300 for a hotel, then $102 on a ticket, 100 to 200 on a ticket just to go hear a story. You could do it from right from home just by subscribing to your platform. You know what I mean? So I think it's amazing.
It really is great, man. So I want to know a little bit more about you. That comic book issue number one. Who are you, man?
Yeah. So of course, my name is Shawn Nelson. I'm from a small town called Gonzales, Louisiana, in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Grew up here. Attended high school here at East Ascension High School. I was offered several scholarships. Chose to go to University of Southern Miss. I like what got me at Southern Miss. I fell in love with the idea of the way that they were going to use me in our offense. And as we all know, different universities, college coaches tell you what they got to tell you to get you involved. It was closer to home. It was closer to home, but far away enough for me not to be close to home. So I chose that university. I don't regret it. Had a monumental career there. Met some amazing people that I'm still cool with to this day. From there, I was drafted by Buffalo Bills in 2009 at tight end. And then shortly after, maybe like 4 years later, when my mom took sick with cancer, I just took it upon myself to retire. And, it was one of those things I just couldn't shake back from. Um, but it allowed me to be close to home with my family and try to uh, regroup myself. That took longer than I thought it would, which kept me into retirement. And uh, from then on there, I've just been trying to figure it out from here. And I've always been a person that gave back, family man, hang around friends and families, love kickback stuff like that. I love to network and build relationships to be able to create different programs or ideas or organizations to be able to, get the whole city involved here where I'm from to engage in opportunities that are created for the youth in my community because there's nobody doing nothing for the youth here. I have the only camp here in the summer for kids, and I'm just trying to get some. I try to get the city involved in what I'm doing. That's been a piece of work. Um, going through that right now, but most of my help comes from outside of here, which I'm thankful for, which lets me know that people outside of where I'm from actually believe in what I'm doing. So I'm thankful for that. But like I say, I'm one of those persons with a big heart, man, that love to give back. I love to help. And then, as for myself, I'm a real silly guy. So I still get on a PlayStation 5 and wrestle with my little son sometimes and everything too. So that's an everyday thing.
That's awesome, man. Did you grow up play? I assume you grew up playing football. Was that kind of the eye in mind, or how did that work for you, man?
Uh, as far as I remember, I think my dad, my mom decided to sign me up for football. Found out I was fucking great at it, man, and just been playing it all my life, basketball and football. Once I got to high school, though, of course, I had to make a decision, but I was like, man, should I go basketball or football? Football, I felt more I was better than. Um, until I signed up for AAU basketball and I played around or with some guys that I don't know if everybody remember that LSU basketball team with Glenn Davis on it, Glenn Big Baby Davis on it,
Oh yeah.
um, Thomas and Garrett Temple, all those guys. I played AAU basketball with them. So that's when I got better at basketball and I seen my true talent in basketball. And I was like, oh, hold on a second, let me see. And then I got uh, that nomination for McDonald All American in basketball. And I was like, oh man, what am I really doing? And stuff getting some interest from North Carolina, Arizona, Connecticut when Emeka Okafor was there and was winning all the national championships. kind of got my mind running and everything. But I think at the ultimately at the end, I chose the right direction in football. So that's always been my my PM the pod right there. So that's where my heart was, always is.
I love that, man. So you get drafted. What was that experience like? I mean, we're talking right now. The draft's going on as as
Right.
we speak. What was that
Mhm.
experience like?
Um, it was pretty good, man. It was very interesting. Didn't go the way I thought it would go. Didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but it went the way God wanted it to go. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, we're looking at Shador Sanders right now, right? But his situation was happening to him. I mean, I was the best available during the whole first round after the first 5 or 6 picks, maybe. And I dropped all the way to the fourth round. You know what I mean? And then I come in the first game, Monday Night Football against the defending world champions and score the first touchdown in the NFL season. It can happen, man. You know what I mean? So um, it could be a headache for him. I understand because he's way of a better player than I was, especially at quarterback. With all the attention they got, who his father is, and what he's done on a collegiate level, which is amazing at 2 different programs on 2 different levels, and to go into the NFL draft expecting to be the fourth, fifth, or ninth name called, and now we're still just waiting, man. I can only imagine what it's like for him, but I do remember what it was like for me, and I do remember eventually getting that phone call saying, "Hey, welcome to Buffalo," and just to see the tears running down my mother's face and celebrating that moment with my mom and my brother and my family. It was amazing, man. It was really amazing, man. And to see that some of the hard work was starting to pay off, and that the real work began when I got there. And when I got there, that's when it was like starting all over again in a sense because it's more business than football. And to be around players like Marshawn Lynch, Terrell Owens, Lee Evans, Roscoe Parrish, Josh Reed, you name it, Marcus Stroud, Drayton Florence, you know what I mean, George Wilson, to be able to teach you, not necessarily verbally teach you how to carry yourself as a player, but to show you how to carry yourself as a player in the NFL. So, like I said, I don't regret none of it at all, and I just thank God for those guys being able to be a placement in my life and to show me the way, And ever since then, I've been trying to take what I've learned from those guys and put it back into the community to the younger generation because we didn't have that growing up. So I try to get it to them early so they can have it by the time they go to college, and it won't be questionable by the time draft day comes. You know what I mean?
Shawn, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things that in studying football through the years and of course talking to athletes all the time, it's one of those things that draft can be scary, especially when you have an idea where you're supposed to go. And
Yep.
sometimes, as you mentioned, guys free fall because a lot of it's out of their control. It's just no one needs maybe that specific position or they're not looking in with
Right.
those lenses. And so for your case, dropping a few rounds, that has to be, at the time, I'm sure somewhat devastating. But once you get in and once you get in the building and you get your opportunity, it's ready to
Yeah,
go to
man.
work.
Yeah, man. It's devastating, but trust me, once your name is called, all of that stuff is out the window. You get the ball rolling. You can get, all that stuff is in the past, and then bro, all it takes is one play to erase everything everybody ever said, especially about a kid like Shador that we all know can play on that level. He's going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks at some point during his NFL career, right? Um, I just hope his name get called soon. But like I say, man, once your name get called, all those feelings that you've ever felt, you could put behind you and say, hey, put that in the bag. Let me throw that on my shoulder and carry that weight on my shoulder when I step on that football field. And that it don't matter who it is, somebody about to get it. And then you show all 31 teams, you know, what they missed out on. And then you make that 32nd team, which is the team you on, pay you for passing you up for 2, 3 rounds. That's how you
Exactly.
do that.
I
Yeah.
love it.
But, so, I mean, and it's different now, man. These kids getting NIL money,
Yes,
in college. It's crazy. You know what I
it
mean?
really is.
And most, if not some of them, are making money. Where we are in the draft right now, a kid like Shador has made more money than he's going to make in the NFL.
Yep.
So we know it ain't about money. This kid really has a passion for playing football. He really loves the game. So it's just different. Depending, like you said, depending on who lens you're looking through. You know what I mean? or what that team need is. They may want him, but we don't need him. You know what I mean? So you got to look at it like that too. We and as a GM, as an owner, as a head coach, we need to get the best player in the position that we need to help us get past where we were from last year. It's all about growing and getting better and trying to get that trophy. You know what I mean? So that's what
100%.
it is. Yep.
And you touch on something important. Those guys you had mentioned, showing you how to be a professional, maybe without
Yeah.
verbalizing it, but kind of that come to work, be ready to grind, and it's one of those things I think is important, especially not everyone gets that growing up. So it's great that you had that when you got into the league.
Yeah, man. I was very fortunate to be around a group of guys like that, man. But these kids coming in, the money's not part of it, then we lying about it. You know what I mean? You put all that work in all your life, play football for 20 something years, or at least 20 years for free, and not get a paid a dime for it, and these schools are making money off of you. You finally get a chance when your name is called to make a living for yourself and provide for yourself and take care of yourself. Now, that don't mean go buy mom a house, mom a car, and all this stuff. Now, you can, but if that were me and I done it all over again, yes, I still would do those things, but I would try to save as much as possible. You know, this economy is crazy. We live in a very shifty world, but you only get 16 checks out of the year, 17 checks out of the year, not year round. NBA gets paid every week of the year. We don't. You get 17 checks and that's it. And you got to make that money last you, you know what I mean, throughout the whole year at least, because you coming from home getting drafted, you got to find a place to stay. You got to get a car. You got to get furniture in there. You got to get all this. You got to take care of yourself with food, blah, blah, blah. Season's over with. You leave, you come back home. You got to find another place to stay because most of you don't want to go back home with mama, right? Damn sure not going back to a college dorm room. So you got to find another place to stay. So you're paying at least 35, $4 grand a month for two different places that you're not at least one of them. You know what I mean? You're shipping your car back and forth. Like, you got to factor in all of that stuff, man. You might get a $30 million deal, but you'll never see that.
Yeah.
You get $100 million deal, you'll never make $100 million. Your agent is getting 3% of that 100 million plus 35% of taxes are coming out of that. That 3% not coming out after that, those taxes are taken out. That's half your money. That 3% coming out of what that deal is worth, not your salary, what it's worth. And then you got to hit incentives to try to even make some of that money, you know what I mean, back. So it's crazy, man. So understanding the logistics of it and the contracts and the language, um, the financial literacy, I would say that's the most important thing as an NFL football player. You should try to understand as you're going into it or before you go into it, because man, you're a prize to people, to women. You're a robbery attempt for somebody who don't have it, and all your family members and friends gonna have their hand out. So we go to the rookie symposium. They teach you about all that stuff, and so you're prepared on how to say no, how to say yes, when to say yes, when to say no. Um, how to get somebody that you trust to help you with that. They do different skits to show you, like, hey, this is how your mother, your father, sister, brother, cousin, friend, teacher, you name it, would approach you about money or how they act different. So a lot of people say, once you get that money, man, once Jeremy got that money, he started acting different. Nah, you started acting different.
Mm.
I had an aunt who asked me for some money one time, and I had given her some money a couple times before that. And this last time I said, nah, I can't do it. Like, I gave you money before, I can't do it. And she said, all those times I've washed you and changed your diapers and everything. I said, damn, I had to pay for that?
You've been holding on to that.
Yeah, man, this shit crazy, man. So, you just got to be careful and have a strong head on your shoulders, man. And, know how to carry yourself. And your character reflects leadership. But I remember in Southern Miss on the wall in study hall, it says, your talent is what got you here, but your character determines how long you stay. So I always preach to young athletes, hey, your character, man, make sure you work on your character and be a great young man that believe in God, believe in yourself, and, you take care of yourself. And once your cup runneth over, then you can start pouring out and helping others. But you shouldn't pour out the same cup that's being filled, which is you, because you taken away from what's being filled, which is your temple. You know what I mean? Which is you. You know, you as an entity. You have to treat yourself like a business. You know, you have to make the money, make sure you have the necessities, and then get what you want. And then if something extra comes in, and then somebody come and asks for something, then you have it to give or to help or to provide. You know what I mean? Instead of taking out of what's yours and when you need something. So, uh, in other words, don't put anybody else before you put your before yourself or your family. Always put you and your family first.
Shawn, I love that. Love that take. I think so much it's just like an airplane. You got to put your oxygen mask on
Yeah,
first before
yeah,
you can help anyone else. You know.
that's right. That's right.
And it's interesting too, man. So with my business, we're fortunate. I sponsor a lot of rugby clubs, kind of all over Wisconsin, but a little bit all over the United States. And I had one younger guy come up to me. He started a team, and he's doing great, and he's amazing. And he kind of was like, "Hey, do you have any sponsorship money?" I'm like, not really, but hey, let's talk about this. How can we work
Yeah,
through? Okay, you're gonna have to go out. You're gonna have to become a nonprofit. Let's go do
mm,
that. Then come back to me.
right,
Okay, when did that?
right.
And it was kind of the working through the progress. Of course, unfortunately, maybe a sponsor or two pulled, and so he had to figure out another way to kind of gain back some of that revenue
Yeah,
for the tournament. He worked through that, and then he luckily everything ended up turning out well. They did well in the tournament. It was a great time, and it was cool because there was a lot of lessons learned. Okay, hey, let me send you over this contract I wrote for me when
mhm,
I if I'm sponsoring someone or if someone's sponsoring something I'm doing, so we're covered. Let's make sure
yeah.
we have kind of what are the fail safes. So make maybe it's something a deposit beforehand. It's all that trying to help people when they get started. And that's one thing I appreciate about you talking to that younger generation.
Yeah, so even, I have a foundation, of course, Shawn Nelson Foundation, 501c3. And what I do is I put on a football camp every year as well as mental health symposium. So it's called the Postman Academy. So I'll be like, Eric, tell everybody, hey, come to the A. We call the Postman Academy the A. So come to the A. But um, we work with young men who are athletic, those who have a great educational background, and we can help you, polish up your skill set. I have NFL players that come in town and help me. Jamarcus Russell will be here this year. Marshawn Lynch will be here this year. But more importantly, we talk and work with these kids about their mental health. A lot of these kids are dealing with things at school, at home, with their girlfriends, with their friends, with themselves that they don't talk to their parents about. And so they want to talk to somebody like us who been where they're trying to go and they see us actually caring about them and working with them
Think
in their craft. You know what I mean? And try helping them to get better and be excellent on the next level. They'll open up and talk to us. So for us, that's what it's about in football players. Um, but what where we get the glory is not only just working with the kids and their skill set and preparing them for the next level in college, but we get the glory when we're helping these kids, with their mental health. Um, they have issues they don't talk to their parents about, whether it's with girlfriends, school, with themselves, friends, you name it. College selection, we come in and help with that, and they want to see somebody like us who've been there where they're trying to go, help them with that. They think the world of that. But where we get the glory is helping them with stuff like that. So it always works out. First year, I had 12 kids get offered 26 scholarships. We featured on ESPN and Sports Center, all their platforms. It was amazing. We reached over 14 million viewers. Top notch, man. So we're just trying to grow off that and capitalize on that and make it bigger. And we have a documentary on Apple TV and Amazon Prime called Blue Chippers. So you'll get a chance to kind of see what we're doing on there and everybody that we're working with and stuff like that. So it's amazing, man. We enjoy it.
it really is, man. It feels. I tell people, it just feels good to give back.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes you feel good, and you're leading kids down the right path that have the
Hmm.
same at least future in mind, and you can kind of show them the
Yeah.
realities, but also how they can get there, not just on the field, but mentally as well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, the only thing I would say about where I'm from, where I live, a lot of people think you owe them something for whatever reason, but um, when I'm doing things like this, this stuff costs money. You know what I mean? So, um, trying to raise those funds to continue to make it what it always is, and bigger. You know. that's the where I have an issue. I run into problems at because it's hard to raise the funds for it. You know what I mean? So I have to do a lot of begging, unfortunately for it, but I don't mind it because it's for the kids in the community and every dollar goes to them. So, like I say, I love doing it. It's a passion of mine. It's my ministry. I'm gonna keep doing it, and till the wheels rock off. But as long as I'm here and breathing, I'm always give back and pour into the kids and across the country, man, for sure.
Shawn, I appreciate that, man. On everyone's journey, you can go east, you can go west. You make a decision not knowing the outcome. Can you give me a
Yeah,
time where you made a decision and went for it?
a time where I made a decision and went for it.
Yes.
Um, Man, I got a bunch of them. Um, I tell you what, man, there was a time during a football game. We were playing the New York Jets in New York, in New Jersey, and I was running a crossing route, under route is what we call it, and the route changes depending on the defense you get. So it was man, I would keep running across, but if it's zone, I would sit in between the two linebackers, right? Well, they were playing zone. I knew that. I saw him, and what I did was when I was running, I lined up with the quarterback. So once you do this, that's called showing him my numbers. Put the ball on me. And he did just what I needed him to do to get it to me early enough so I could sell the linebacker on him thinking I was going to run man so I could put a move on him and, you know, go score. So when Fitzpatrick put the ball on me, I act like I didn't see him coming, but I saw him in my periphery. As soon as I seen him, he thought he had me. I put a spin move on him. The second defender came down. I juked him, and then I went for another 5, 6 yards on a yak. You know what I mean? It was an amazing play, but it was a great decision. I wasn't supposed to make that decision based on the defense I got, but I knew I was athletic enough and talented enough and quick enough for my size to make the move to make a miss to do what I wanted to do. Again, I shouldn't have done that. But it's a chance I took and went with it, and I had a great game after that, man. But it was an opportunity I had to take to be able to show my staff and teammates, hey, they can trust me with the ball in a situation like that. If we ever get back in a situation like that, we can trust and get the ball to Shawn Nelson. So I took that chance and went with it. I'm glad I did because they were coming to me on third down and short and long every time and during the season after that. So it was worth it.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. What are you working on? I know we talked about it a little bit, but what do you got going on?
Yeah, so outside of the football camp, I'm starting to get into podcasting. So we just got that set up again. Like I said, we got our first interviewee on Tuesday. Um, and then I have a friend of mine that I played college ball with. He lives in Houston, named Antron Harris. He's in television hard, so he put me into that. And we're working on a film called 712 for some time now. And that film is going to be about that massacre shooting that happened in Aurora, Colorado, at the Batman movie premiere. Um, and I'm glad you asked that because even about that film, um, mental health plays a major part in that film, and I'll tell you why. Um, the guy who painted his hair like the Joker that did all the shooting, what happened actually is, and this is from research, and this is what they're not going to tell you in the news, is that he called the 1-800 hotline number for help, and nobody answered the phone. So for him, somebody who's dealing with mental health, he felt like what he said that was God telling him to go in there and do that shooting. So what I'm saying is, if somebody would have answered that phone and done their job to help that kid, maybe we wouldn't even have that happen. You know what I mean? So mental health is very important. I think we all go through it. I think we all go through have depression and anxiety, or we go through it, experience it in some magnitude. And it's important to talk. Get on platforms like this and talk with, and tell somebody what's going on. You never know, man. Talking about it could help, or maybe somebody has some tools and different things they can help you with that. I mean, you just never know, and as men, and more so black men, we just keep this bottled up inside and try to be a man about it. But I'm here to tell you that's not the way to go. Being a man about it is talking about it and trying to get some help with whatever it is you're going through, man. It's not a bad thing to have a therapist or a psychiatrist or ask somebody for help. I think more than anything, we need to do that and build relationships and, like you said, and network and different things of that sort, man. So again, I appreciate you going out your way to reach out and provide this platform for me to come on here and share with your audience, a little bit about the Postman and what I'm doing and what I got going on. So I appreciate you for that.
Shawn, I truly appreciate you as well, man. I appreciate everything you're sharing. If people want to learn more about you, your foundation, where can they reach you online, on social media? Where are you at?
Yeah, so on Twitter, it's just the Postman 83, and then on Instagram, it's Jamie St. Patrick. That's my favorite character on the TV show Power from 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? So on Instagram, it's Jamie underscore St. Patrick underscore. And what else I have on TikTok is just Jamie St. Patrick all together. Um, and then I also have for my foundation on Instagram is Shawn Nelson Foundation all together on there as well. So if anybody want to follow me, feel free to do so. I'll be sharing some more content and stuff about camp on the foundation page and this, on my main page on Jamie St. Patrick on Instagram and TikTok. I just post. I don't post that much, but when I do, it's pretty sure it's something simple or something silly or me just enjoying my friends and hanging out at a concert or something like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, man. Well, Shawn, I want to say thanks again for taking the time to talk with me, man. I really appreciated
Yep.
hearing more about your story, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. This was fun, man. We should get together and do it again. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Absolutely. Talk soon, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Yeah. That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.